Hey, Virginia's not just for lovers anymore. What up?
What's happening? I can't believe Virginia has legalized cannabis.
Yeah, and hey, by the way, let me do the intros. It's Miggy 420, aka Miggy Miguel, because I never do that. And I'm just not. It's not my steez, man. I just like to have the share the information, right? You know. But
Yeah, the information is that between today and yesterday, Virginia's voted to legalize cannabis, and so the legalization doesn't take effect until 2024. What's up with that?
dude, and so watching the debates, well, the House one just happened magically. Like that was just like boom, and then it went to the Senate, which again, this process is so sexy.
No, but then the House voted on it. They had their HB whatever, and then there was SB 1408, and so then there's HB 2312 that was also in there. But yeah, it doesn't take effect, but it kind of does take effect this July. And so they aren't going to have like an application window. So you're not going to be getting a cannabis application in Virginia in any time in short order. But yeah, 2024, it appears that it's really, really out there. They're legalizing it for the future.
Yeah, they did crimmed it for June, right? July, whatever that time frame is. It's coming up this year. Which, man, I got a lot of shit to bitch about this whole process that just happened with them.
Yeah, but it was like a vote that was a non-vote. I mean, like everybody passed it. It appeared like it didn't have any votes against SB 1408.
Well, the Senate had some negative votes. There was
I was practicing yoga at the time, so I'm like, guys, now you let me know when this comes up.
Well, and it happened so fast because Normal said that they could be debating this forever because you know how
Normal has thought they were going to legalize it every year for 50 years. And so like when they say it's going to take forever, I'm like, sure, bro. And so
and I feel it, but watching the debates though, because there was I think 23 nays and 47 yays or some shit like that. But some of the
what was it? On the calendar. There's it's the Joint Commission on Healthcare. Evidently, as 1408 is Healthcare Joint Commission on Repeals and Sunset Provision. The naming conventions on cannabis is fantastic.
Oh God! Wow, yep. It's the art of what do you call it? Term of art, right?
Legal term of art is when something is defined in a statute and then used that way, usually against you. Marijuana, for example, is a legal term of art.
Well, that's what I was kind of get to about with the Senate hearings because I watched it and listened to them, and there was a couple people that stood out. So Senator Normant, this motherfucker, talking about social equity and how like again it's kind of Jim Crow slant where it's like, well, we can't have social equity because then that means we're being racist for protecting racists. But no, that's not how it works.
But that's one of the problems. Like he's like, it's a correct thing. And so like when you do have discrimination to correct discrimination, it's still discrimination. You know, it's like, well, why did we kill that person? Well, because he killed somebody else. Yeah, capital punishment's still not right. And so like, you know, again, when they say that social equity round is going to then try to absorb it and make it more representative, that's fine in the respect that they're doing that. But when you create, and it's unconstitutional all over the United States, when you create a law that creates a special group of people and gives them benefits, that it's just open for constitutional attack.
It just hurts me to hear people in charge, Senator Norman and also Senator Bill, the staff. Same thing. We're against social equity because they were like, you're creating a private a privileged market or whatever, which is bullshit. Because the whole time you could be arrested.
Right. Because with social equity, it's like, well, that's fine. But then if we don't do this, you're just giving it away to plutocrats. You're just giving it away to the most adequately capitalized, the people that can get all the money. But no, I mean, so like, yeah, they're reporting like Virginia becomes the 16th state to legalize cannabis with dispensaries open in 2024. So it's kind of like a pretty lame legalization. It appears that the rulemaking process will take over a year starting in July. Evidently, you are not going to get penalized for an ounce of cannabis in Virginia, but that had already somewhat kind of been the thing. Like they decrimmed. The state had already decrimmed marijuana last year. Being caught with an ounce is just a $25 fine. Just like a parking ticket. And so that's really, really cool. 68% of Virginia voters supported legalizing marijuana, which is pretty much commensurate with the rest of the United States, but it appears that Virginia becomes the second state to legalize it legislatively. And it really was a vote that just was like, oh, it's done? Oh, guys.
Dude, it was so, yeah, I mean, it was just like ripping off the Band-Aid. You're like, whoa, that was it? That was very, very anticlimactic. Even though, like, you hear testimony like this one other senator, Blaine's, was her thing was, what message are we sending to our children? What message are we sending that
they always say that? Yeah.
No, but
then it said, then there was also the slippery slope argument where it's like, you can't use marijuana because then you're going to go to harder drugs like opiates, which actually will kill you. And so, it's like, hey, I can't start on vanilla ice cream. I might go to chocolate.
I love the whole what message are we sending arguments. Like, okay, so the other message is it's okay to put people in prison.
Well, no, the other message is and then they said, well, where's the research studies that have ever shown that legalizing marijuana makes our children score higher in school?
Oh my God.
Point of order, they've never been able to have that study because it actually would show a benefit. And so it's been illegal to do that study for like your entire life, you Karen.
Seriously, though. Wow. I mean, did you know that today the Senate debate started at 4:20?
Senate debate started at 4:20. By 4:45, they had already legalized it. It was they vote fast in Virginia. I mean, it was like, okay, everybody vote. Bloop. They were done. It was like no waiting for the vote. Like I've seen votes in Congress. It'll be like, well, they're voting. Well, they're counting. How long do they have to count? 10 minutes. I thought it was going to be similar. It's like, oh, they're voting. Okay, let's go live.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck, it's done.
That's why I scheduled it originally at 3. I was like, oh, we'll have plenty of time just to see what happens and get the end results. And yeah, it was like 20 minutes. And to top it off too, though, one of the things that kind of, besides the negative BS of what about the children stuff, the thing that gets me too was like, okay, you start this bill at 4:20 conversation. If you actually watch the debate, kind of sort of debate, there was a lot of euphemisms towards like cannabis jokes, like marijuana jokes, like, I had herbs in my soup and shit like that. And it's like, come on, man. Like, I love that these people feel relaxed and it's good enough to joke about. But the fact that this is a low hanging crime and people's lives are ruined for it, it's not a joke.
No, it's not a joke, but their legalization to a certain extent is. Now, they do have essentially becoming effective July 1st of 2021. And they have all sorts of definitionals in there. It's a 261-page bill that they just voted on as if it was lunch, ordering lunch at a deli. And, it's something to dig into. I mean, I would just was digging into New York's, and then I was stoked because except for one, come on, man, get me the stuff so you can get in by 11:59. It's due date, Damn. And so I've just been working like a fiend, and then this snuck up right on me.
Well, I think it snuck up in the world, right? Like when places like South Dakota and Virginia decide, hey, we're going to catch up and keep New York behind. Because honestly, New York and Jersey are still sitting behind on their asses. I mean, well,
yeah, but Jersey is a little bit further ahead to a certain extent. They're just kind of nitpicking over a few things. Like their people said that it's going to pass. This is going to take forever because I bet, we can look at the license types and the license rounds, but they mentioned there's going to be a social equity round first. And then there's going to be, maybe other rounds in the future. And I'm not sure what it's going to happen to the medical patient laws. But the medical ones, because I can go pull the regs and try to get ready for this application season, but it's not until 2024. So why?
Yeah. Well, and I believe in that long depth of paper, that was the medical side was a concern. I heard one testimony, the lady said, because actually, the senator was like, look, we got to protect our legacy market. The medical side, but she said Oregon only had one medical dispensary, and I was like, is that true? I don't think that's true. That she's looking at it wrong how Oregon's set up. I think you can do both.
Yeah, but I don't know how Oregon's set up. I've never bought weed in Oregon. It's a field trip for you. That's easier because you're just in Washington State. I'm in Illinois. It is tundra cold out there right now.
Oh,
it is just terrible. Just terrible. The Wim Hof method would not be a thing when it's this cold. People will be like, fuck it, putting on shorts. Oh.
Yeah, not good, dude. No, this is exciting. And then I've been to Oregon when it first started, and how they did do it was if you were a medical shop, you could just have a section of your store just for medical, for patients, and then the other half was like free for all for everybody. So I don't know if they changed it since, but That was a couple years ago. What's going on here? We got lots of people. Yo, we got another $2 donation.
That's cool. Now, like, Governor Ralph Northam said he'd sign the legislation beginning in 2024. Cannabis can be sold at regulated stores. Until then, the black market is stoked that by July 1st, it'll be legal to own, have, or be caught with an ounce of weed. And so that's one of the things. Like, it won't be legal to have weed. Like, you have to buy the weed. But if you're able to get caught with up to an ounce, where'd you get that weed? I don't know. I'm under my limits.
Exactly. And I think right now is a prime time for every college kid and person that works in the kitchen industry to jump out of that weed bandwagon and start selling those under ounces.
Yep. They do mention that, press in 2018 Daily of the Press investigation found black Victorians far more likely to be charged with marijuana possession and go to jail if convicted, even on a first offense. Half of those charged with first offense possessions were black, despite the population of the state only being 20% black, and despite surveys consistently showing white and black people using marijuana at similar rates.
Let me give you my shock face.
No, that's not shocked. It's and so like it's an extreme overrepresentation of the harm on the war on drugs. Yeah. And so like that extreme overrepresentation is the thesis behind the extreme overrepresentation of the social equity applicant. But again, when you take people and you classify them as different and then you start treating them differently under the law, that's discrimination. But at the same time, there's a reason for the social equity discrimination. That's one of the reasons why, like, when they say that, I'm like, well, if you push it too far, and like in Illinois, it's worth 20% of the score. So like you don't need it, but then it's not going to be illegal because it would be a special privilege or special purpose clause. Yeah, it's literally against the Fourth Amendment. You're discriminated against people.
Well, I get that part, but like, I mean, because like when they testified about how they came to that structure, they're like, look, this is constitutionally correct because they and I know spending words and weaving into that area, but
and then weed's been illegal for so long, so that unconstitutional laws can last for fucking decades.
Seriously, dude. And I heard it best put was like, our nation's history about like you can't pull yourself up from the bootstraps if you were never given bootstraps. And that's kind of like where social equity's at. It's they're helping people who have been disenfranchised. Goddamn, I've been doing this for over 20 years and I still use a fake name. And I'm freaked out every time we do a thing.
I don't want to go. I don't want to do my job in Iowa. I'm not going to Iowa or Indiana. Like Indiana is made for me driving through and getting to Michigan as fast as I can.
Yeah, but Virginia might be lit now.
Virginia's already lit because if you get caught with an ounce, so I can be rolling into Virginia with what I usually like to have, like it's less than an ounce, and I'm fine. I'm fine. I mean, at $25, here you are, sir.
I'm right.
Get yourself something nice,
if you're going to spend like say 4 days in Virginia, you take an extra 100 with you just in case you get caught. Any one of those.
Yep.
Once a day.
And then nobody's going to be buying or selling weed in Virginia until 2024 because that's when dispensaries open.
Yeah, not legally.
Yeah.
Well, I guess.
But then that's the social equity round that they're going to have. I mean, and so the social equity round appears that it's going to go to what the social equity sounded like also in Illinois. It's going to be the people that were arrested. It's going to be the people in the neighborhoods that are predominantly black and brown because then they're usually more dilapidated. So that is kind of an interesting methodology of giving bonus points for like moving somewhere, but that's why they structured it in Illinois with just being 20% of the score. So like, you don't need to have it, but then you can't win without it. So it is open to a litigation risk. And so the more that you see these types of social equity programs push into those red states where they're like, hey, personal freedoms, you might see more of those types of lawsuits coming to strike them down as being unconstitutional.
Well, I think in Illinois, I mean, for you guys in particular, the whole KPMG, whatever alphabet soup criteria people, it just wasn't equal. There just wasn't a proper transparency. And hopefully these guys get it figured out. They have time.
they are going to take a year to write the rules. And so like by the time they get around to writing the rules, and then eventually when we get to an application window for social equity first, and I don't mind social equity to the extent that like if 20% of the population is African-American in Virginia, 20% of the dispensaries should be owned by African-Americans. That is what you would call diversity. It reflects population.
Yeah.
That's great. And so like, I think that if you made a law that said, we have to give out 20% of the licenses to African-Americans and XY% to white people or predominantly owned. If you really want to start making these types of classifications, I don't know if that's the best idea in the world. But I love how they can use the tax dollar to reinvest that money though.
Yeah. I what do you call it? Politicians getting hurt about making the world better, and correcting things. It's just infuriating.
I mean, like if you want to see the politician butthurt about anything, just say anything to them, because their job is to get offended and then to make a point, and then you wait a week and then they will get offended at the exact opposite thing that they were offended at before, and they will make the exact opposite point, and then they will ask you for money.
You just put Florida in a nutshell right there, my friend.
No, that's politicians, and so like, I mean, you could watch the Republicans from 2016 to 2020 or 2020, and where they just were like, oh, this Donald Trump person's terrible. I would never defend this Donald Trump person.
Yeah.
Oh, this Donald Trump person's fantastic. I can't wait to defend this Donald Trump person. And so people will say the exact opposite thing if they've been in office long enough, and then they will ask you for money.
Yeah, true story.
Yep.
But hey, I mean, now it's time to start looking at Virginia if you're in that area and start making a game plan.
If you're in Virginia and have that area, yes, you can. And then you can go over to cannabisindustrylawyer.com and sign up for our newsletter, because now I'll have my attorneys and then me pull all the data that we have on this, so the bills that we have, so that we can start making the web pages. We will not have any information regarding the regulation on how the actual applications will start setting up until a year from now. So like in 2022, stay tuned for cannabis legalization news regarding the regulations in Virginia.
But it's still a good time to figure out the lobbying way, because you're going to have tourism, Airbnbs, consumption lounge. They can get it right. Home grows. Was home
They
grown?
aren't going to get it right. You saw how like
Yeah.
scared they were of this plant. They're
children-
slow walking this thing 4 years.
Yeah,
That's
true story.
Well, not 4 years. It's 2021. They're slow walking it 3 years. And so like there's not going to be a legal adult use sale in Virginia until 2024. And so like if New Jersey gets its act together, they could already be open for business. New York, they could be open for business. Pennsylvania, perhaps even, because I haven't seen any other bill that looked like it had that kind of fuse on it, where it's going to be, we're going to wait 3 years.
Shit. I'm just curious about the arrests that are going to happen from now until, like, even it's going to be decrimmed in 6 months. It should be decrimmed today. Period.
It is. It's an ounce and less has been decrimmed since last year, and so now it'll just be legal starting in July. And so I don't have to pay the $25.
Dude, I mean, like if I lived in that area, I'd probably go hang out, go do a summer down there or something.
Oh, if I knew how to grow weed and I was in Virginia, I'd be like, well, guess I'm not going to really need money, but I didn't make any the next 3 years,
like Oklahoma.
But Oklahoma, you can at least just go get a license and then be like, there you go. And I love the racket of the medical marijuana. And it is a racket when it comes right down to it, because there's so much use at the adult use level that is for not recreational, medicinal use. It's like, a high percentage of the people that buy it are buying it for a reason.
Well, but
the racket has to do with the doctor. And so then you have to go to a doctor to get a script or a recommendation, and then you can go to the medical place. And so usually with medical, a good team will probably have some doctors and some people in healthcare, highly regulated industry, because medical is usually way more regulated than adult use, even though adult use is still really, really regulated. And then you're going to see the doctors owning the dispensary or the clinics. They usually call them clinics for medical marijuana. And then the doctor writes the script and then sends the patient over to where they can buy the weed that he has.
Dude, when we had Washington state law when it first started, it was a holistic caregiver that can give you a script.
Yeah,
That
but you
was-
guys have like witches. You guys probably I bet if I was in Seattle on like on a Sunday, I could find a coven that is worshiping Satan or like, being a witch. I'm not sure if they worship Satan,
You will find that transgendered, non-appropriate coven somewhere worshiping that non-entity he, she, them thing somewhere. And that's, you know what? I bet you their weed's fucking great.
I hope so. And then meanwhile, I'll just be sitting there like trying to get a yoga practice in, and I'm like, Virginia did what? Just now? That was it. Like we were watching the thing, and so I'm like, all right, how long is this gonna yakety yak? And then Miggy's like, oh, Normal says it's gonna go all night. Normal has probably already been like just way high.
Oh
And
shit,
then,
they probably. Oh yeah.
yeah.
Oh fuck yeah! Oh, we had to make a follow-up video.
Oh shoot! They voted on it already. Voted on what? They legalized it. What? Yeah, 2024. Oh, dude, you guys spaced on the legalization date. Leave it to Virginia to legalize something 3 years in the future.
Right on, man. Well, I have to get back. It's been great hanging and sharing, and,
Right.
and we had people hanging, which is awesome. And we'll be here Sunday again.
We'll see you on Sunday. And if you're in Virginia, smoke them if you got them, but don't have over an ounce. Wait a second. Hang on. I know how to end this stuff. We can go to the banners and then over to the branding and then see ya. When we'll see you next here at Cannabis Legalization News. And if you've been enjoying this, you 117 people watching, give us those thumbs up and subscribe if you think that somewhere it is always